This is my beloved iPhone 10, and currently it is the sports betting industry. Why, you might ask? It particularly impacts wannabe sports bettors and online casino players in Pennsylvania. Here's what's going on. As you might know, the Apple App Store has pretty rigorous and stringent policies. In fact, Apple doesn't even allow you to download apps that don't go through the App Store. Recently, they've always disliked apps that have taken a web page and just reskinned it and put it into an app and put it in the App Store. Apple likes things that are coded and built specifically to function as apps. For example, I run crossingbroad.com. Apple will let me, but they won't like it if I just skin my web page and put it in the App Store, because effectively it's no different than just loading the web page on the internet. And that is what a lot of these online casinos, all of which expected to bring sportsbooks to Pennsylvania very soon, that is what many of them do. DraftKings and FanDuel are an exception that we'll get to in a minute. But many of these guys who are either launched or expecting to launch in PA soon are going to have a big problem thanks to Apple's latest policy. And here's why. Let's take a look at Apple's latest App Store update, Guideline 4.7. Read this with me. HTML5 games distributed in apps may not provide access to real money gaming, lotteries, or charitable donations and may not support digital commerce. This functionality is only appropriate for code that's embedded in the binary and can be reviewed by Apple. This guideline is now enforced for new apps. Existing apps must follow this guideline by September 3rd, 2009. Let's put that in the trash where it belongs. So what does all of that actually mean? What that is saying is that a lot of these casino apps, they use websites that are basically just wrapped in a container and with some buttons and put in the App Store. Because a lot of these casino games are made by third-party vendors, and they get some code, they put it on a website, and they're easy to use. You're talking online slots, poker, things like that. It's impossible, effectively impossible, for any one app operator to develop all of these games themselves and code them for the apps themselves. So they worked with third parties, they put them on their website, and then in this case, they wrap them in an app and put them in the App Store. Apple just said, you're done with that. You can't do that anymore. Now that has been in place for some time for new apps, but here's the complicating factor. That date of September 3rd is 2 days before the NFL season, and it sounds like, if you read that right, they're gonna kick out current apps in the App Store. Many of these guys, like Sugar House, that are already in New Jersey, potentially get kicked out of the App Store unless they're complying with this in 3 months, which, by the way, is almost certainly not enough time for someone to develop a brand new sports betting casino hybrid app. I mean, that's like a year-long development process. So how does this affect sports betting in PA? Well, here's the deal. I'm going to go through some of these sites. These are most of the sites we expect to see in PA over the next 6 months, with the exception of DraftKings, who does not yet have a partner, but they do want to get into the market. But everyone else, Sugar House is already live, FanDuel's expected to launch this summer, so is Parks, Harrah's, Rivers, and Fox Bet also probably sometime this summer. Here's the thing, with the exception of FanDuel, Sugar House, Parks, Harrah's, Rivers, and we'll get to Fox Bet in a minute, all of those apps are expected to include online casino games alongside their sportsbook. This is how Sugar House operates in New Jersey. You open the app, you could play an online slot game, or you can bet on sports. It is those casino games that are the problem, because most of those are HTML code that lives on the internet and is just wrapped up and included in the app. FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet in New Jersey, they are standalone sportsbooks who code and build their apps specifically for the iOS and Android app stores. And that means they don't have to worry about this policy. FanDuel, it's coded in binary, it's built for the App Store. Their website and their sportsbook app are totally separate things. Apple doesn't have a problem with it. But for PA, as you can see, DraftKings might not be here for a little while. In fact, let's move them over here. FanDuel is coming live this summer. All these other ones are associated with casinos. Again, we'll get to Fox Bet in a minute, meaning they might not be able to be in the App Store right now. Now, you could play them on desktop or laptop. You can play them on Android because you can direct download apps to your Android, even though Google Play doesn't allow gambling apps. but you can't do it in the App Store, and you can't do it even on the mobile web on iPhone because you have to download software that allows them to track your GPS to make sure you're in the state. And guess what? Apple doesn't allow you to download that software. It has to be within the app. Further complicating problems. So I've talked to a number of people in the industry and some operators, and here's what's really weird about what Apple's doing. They're requiring people like Sugar House or Parks or Harrah's, who have online casinos and online sportsbook, to include all of their gambling offerings in the same app. And that is a layer of complexity on top of all of this. It would be easy-ish, I suppose, for them to say, all right, we'll put the casino app in a separate app, we'll take some time to develop it, and we'll just launch our sportsbook as an iOS app. But because Apple is requiring them to put all their gambling properties into one app within each state, guess what? That means they're effectively blocking online casinos. So now companies like Play, Sugar House, and Parks and Harrah's, they're going to have to decide, do they want to just exclude online casinos in order to offer a sportsbook? The answer is probably going to be no, because guess what? Online casinos are a lot more profitable. Sportsbooks are a low margin business. So for those of us who like betting on sports, we might see some serious problems, not only in PA. Well, it'll be exaggerated because these are new apps and a lot of the casinos are in the space. But even in New Jersey, apps like Sugar House, Caesars, they are online casinos and online betting apps, and they're going to have a problem if they can't comply with this by September 3rd. Now, for the big guys out there, William Hill, DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, all of them are live in New Jersey. They shouldn't have a problem. I believe all of them build standalone apps. The other complicating one is FoxBet. So right now, FoxBet is owned by a company called the Stars Group, with Fox Sports just invested in. In New Jersey, they have an app called BetStars, and it is a standalone sports betting app. They also run an app, you may have heard of it, called PokerStars. Well, their app is also skinned as a web page, and what I've heard is that they're going to be impacted by this in Pennsylvania. So that means Fox Sports, who just dumped money into this, who wants to go out and promote their FoxBet app and their free Fox betting thing, might not be able to send people to an app store until they separate out the sportsbook with their online casino game. So this is a big problem. And just to give you an idea, about 40 to 50% of the people in North America are on iOS. And when you consider that most betting takes place on mobile, and soon more than 50% of bets are going to be in-game or live bets, that is almost exclusively people on their mobile phones. I don't know how many people still sit with their laptop on their lap watching a game. You're betting with your phone. So you're talking upwards of 40 to 50% of total bets are taking place in New Jersey on iOS. And in Pennsylvania right now, the only app that could realistically launch on iOS, as far as I know today, will be FanDuel. So this is a big problem, certainly in PA, but as sports betting fans out across the country, app stores, Google and Apple have a lot of say in this. Google doesn't allow them, but on Android being an open system, you can just download the app on your own outside of their app store. Apple's different, and if they keep this policy in place, you're going to see a serious delay in either many of these apps being available on iOS or launching at all. Some of them might just wait. Sugar House decided to go ahead and figure out iOS later, but some of these other ones, they might wait till they can figure out the Apple situation, and it is going to take a while to make some of these developmental changes. So we'll keep you updated. If you like what you see here, you found it informative, hit the link below, subscribe, give us a like, visit crossingbroad.com for all your sports betting needs, game breakdowns, sportsbook reviews, and industry news like this, because it's super confusing, and this new language from Apple is a pretty serious setback to the online betting industry, unless you have an Android.